What up, guys? So Magnus Carlsen and Anna Cramling just faced off in a live over-the-board blitz game, and in this game, Magnus here, he went for the cow opening. Yes, that's right, Anna Cramling's new opening, the cow opening. Magnus actually played it in a live game versus Anna. This was Anna's dream. Her entire life, she wanted this one thing, and Magnus did it versus her. Let's see how it went. Oh, by the way, if you don't know, the cow opening as black or as white for that matter, you play with either color, involves going e6, d6, knight e7, knight d7, knight g6, knight b6, bishop e7, and bishop d7, like this right here. And the reason this opening is so strange is the knights, they belong on these f6 and c6 squares, but they're not there, which leaves them very vulnerable to, for example, h-pawn attacks, a-pawn attacks, and so on. But Anna, she just loves this new opening, and Magnus did play it in this game versus her. Let's see how it went. All right, in the game here, Anna playing as white opens 1d4, Magnus e6. Then we have e4, knight e7, knight c3, and d6. Then knight f3, knight d7, bishop d3, knight b6, and then bishop e3. And very interestingly, Anna here going for the exact line I played as white in one of my very first YouTube videos. It's got Anna on the thumbnail, and I showed a game I played versus Anna Cramling's cow opening when someone online played the cow opening versus me. Anna going for the exact line I like versus the cow. If you want to crush the cow opening, by the way, real fast, you will face it online. This is, in my opinion, the best, easiest, safest setup. Let's see how it goes, though. All right, black, knight g6. And Anna here has many options. She can castle kingside. She can castle queenside with queen to e2 or d2 and long castles. Or she can go for the alpha zero attack immediately with the move h4, which she does in the game. And this, again, is my favorite way to meet this opening. You just bring all your pieces to these squares right here and then launch the h-pawns and the a-pawns down the board, attacking these knights on b6 and g6. All right, Magnus, how does he want to deal with the impending attack on that knight on g6? It's not so easy, honestly. I mean, after all, if you go back to e7, you're sort of wasting time with those knights. But on the other hand, where else can you go? In the game, Magnus here, bishop e7 is the idea. The point being the knight now can go to f8, which, I mean, also not a very good square for that knight, but what else can you do when you play the cow opening versus this incredibly strong setup by white? All right, in the game, Anna, h5 is the move, pushing back that knight, and Magnus here, he does not blunder the knight. Oh no, knight to f8 is the response. All right, Anna here, she is just crushing it as white. What does she want to do? Is she going to launch the a-pawn? Is she going to castle queenside? It turns out here she's going to go full alpha zero and play the move h6. And the idea behind this, you're trying to soften up and weaken the white king side. And this is a strategy. Alpha zero itself, whatever you want to say, it played nonstop versus Stockfish, and nowadays this is kind of all super GMs know how to do. Now, Anna's not a super GM. You know what I mean. This is just all the top players play nowadays, launching their pawns down the board at the enemy king. All right, from here, black, he's got a few options. Number one, you can take the pawn, you can go g6, you can go g5, and you can let white take on g7 instead. In the game, Magnus here, he goes for maybe the sharpest, maybe the most combative idea. That is the move g5, which is a computer-approved idea. The point behind this move is Magnus in the game said g6 felt a little bit passive. If you went for that in the game, it's just a little bit slow. It doesn't put a lot of pressure on white, and it's not really what he wanted in the game. After all, where do your pieces go? They're all tripping over each other. It's just not fun to play here as black. So instead, in the game, he did go g5, gaining maximum space on the king side. Now, this is a very active move. Of course, black here at some point could be threatening g4 ideas and essentially going for the attack on the king side himself against Anna. Now, of course, for now, the pawn is on g5. Now, Anna here has many ideas. The simplest option is probably queen to d2 or e2 in long castles. Instead, a4, a5 is certainly playable, pushing the knight back on the queen side as well and gaining even more space on that side of the board. Now, instead, she goes for maybe the strongest idea here. That is the move e5. And this is the strongest computer-approved idea right here. And it has many ideas. First of all, you are putting some pressure on that pawn on d6. Second of all, black cannot go e5. That would be a decent idea for black. And thirdly, when you go e5 like this in this exact line, the e4 square is now freed up for the knight. Knight e4 ideas or bishop e4 ideas could be useful later in the game. Overall, it's just a strong, aggressive idea idea, clamping down on d6, clamping down f6, and so on. It's just a good move for white in general. All right, Magnus here. The move is rook to g8. Now, this is a very bizarre looking idea. Obviously, black, when he plays this, he cannot castle kingside. That is going to be a problem. But of course, you don't really want to castle kingside anyway, as the pawn on g5, the pawn on h6, and so on. These pawns just do not lend themselves to black castling kingside. It would be way, way too risky. So black artificially activating his rook on g8, protecting g5, threatening g4 ideas, and so on, maybe even threatening rook g6 later in the game, attacking this pawn on h6. Overall, a pretty active idea by the GOAT. I mean, not one I would want to play as black, but this guy can play literally any opening and win anyway. So let's see what happens from here. All right, Anna, she's got a lot of ideas. You can, for example, castle queenside. You can go for the alpha 0 attack, a4, a5. Instead, knight to h2 chosen in the game. This is a very interesting move right here. What's the idea behind it? Well, at first glance, the knights might want to go to, for example, g4 and pressure f6. That's one idea. Beyond that, the queen is now opened up on this diagonal. It may want to go to f3 or h5, attacking f7 like this, perhaps. Let's wait and see what she has in mind in this game. All right, Magnus, bishop d7 is the response, trying to develop his queen side, but all his pieces here, in typical cow opening fashion, are sort of tripping over each other. It's just a very awkward position to be in right here as black. All right, Anna Cramling, the move here is queen to h5, flying out with the queen, pressuring f7, pressuring g5, as discussed, defending h6, and so on. And from here, she may want to go knight g4, then f6, perhaps, maybe. It's a decent idea. All right, black, bishop c6, pressuring g2. And Magnus, I mean, so far in this game, it's move 12 right now. So far in this game, he's played a bunch of very passive defensive moves in general. Not his fault. He played the cow opening by Anna's request. But now he is finally starting to get at least a little bit of play in this position, pressuring g2, at least forcing white to make maybe some sort of weakening move. From here, Anna defends the pawn on g2. Rook g1 is the response. And now Magnus, he trades on e5. We have d takes, and then knight d5. And suddenly, with this one simple idea, Magnus here is suddenly applying a little bit of pressure. He has two threats. First of all, taking on c3, ruining white's pawn structure. For example, castles, knight takes, and so on. And white's pawn structure here is completely ruined. Now, beyond that, Black's also threatening taking on e3, winning the 2Bs, the bishop pair. And that could also be very useful in this game. I mean, you don't want to give Magnus the bishop pair versus you. That does not end well typically in the game of chess. But what can you do here as white? I mean, bishop d2 is possible. It's passive, but it's possible. The computer here loves the idea of long castles, ignoring both threats on the knight and the bishop. But of course, Anna, that would be a very hard move to play in a game versus Magnus, castling long and voluntarily ruining your pawn structure. Now, in the game, she does go for the idea of knight to e4. Now, this move right here is very thematic. It's very common and typical in these e5 lines for white. The e4 square being freed up for that knight, for the bishop, and so on. You jump in, threaten knight f6, and so on. It's a good idea in general. It's just not the right way to go in this position. The king is just too vulnerable on the e1 square. It had to castle. And from here, Magnus begins to simply take over in this game. He takes on e3, a not hard move to find. White takes back, and then queen d5. And the queen flies down to d5, pressures that knight, pressures e5, pressures a2. Long castles now would lose the pawn on the a2 square, and white would fall under a massive attack. And beyond that, black's also setting up the idea of simply long castling. And suddenly, I mean, white is still better in this position, shockingly, but suddenly, black is really beginning to simply take over in this game. I mean, Magnus, he can win with literally any opening, and he's starting to do just that in this game. All right, Anna, she decides it is time to defend the e5 pawn with that knight. Knight g4 played in the game, but now look at this. The queen on h5, it's sort of locked out of the game. I mean, what is it doing all the way there on h5? What are you attacking? g5's covered, f7 is covered. Now, granted, black can't castle long yet, as he would lose the pawn on f7 to Anna. That would not be good, but still, the queen just isn't doing that much on the square. All right, Magnus here. He finds a very active Scandinavian-style move for the Scandinavian player from Norway. He plays the move here, queen to a5, sliding over with the queen, hitting the king on the e1 square, also still eyeing a2, and now white has an issue. How do you block the attack, or do you move the king? What do you want to do right here? Well, the engine says the best move here for white is king d2, the bong cloud style move. If Anna played that, oh boy, that would have been a good game. Instead, she plays the move here c3, blocking the attack with the pawn, and now this move is substantially weaker. In this position, Magnus plays the move long castles, ignoring the attack on the f7 pawn, instead counterattacking on that bishop on d3. And from here, I mean, it's simply not so easy to defend the bishop. What can white do? In the game, bishop c2 is chosen, but now the rook simply dominates the open d file. The queen dominates these files here and ranks and whatnot. I mean, black here is really, really taking over. All right, black, knight g6, bringing out that knight and defending f7 in one fell swoop, plus also pressuring the weak e5 pawn. Anna Cramling, what can you do to defend e5? I mean, if that pawn falls, the entire position for white simply collapses, as then the f pawns and e pawns for black can begin rolling down the board, and black is going to be cleaning up in this game. The best move here for white is going to be queen to h2, sliding back, defending e5 with the queen. Instead, knight e to f6 chosen in the game, and this move right here is substantially weaker. It has many, many problems, the least of which is that you simply lose a pawn. We have bishop takes, knight takes, and then queen takes. Black's queen swoops in, wins the e5 pawn, hits the knight, hits e3, and black here is just completely eviscerating white. I mean, Magnus Carlsen disemboweling Anna Cramling in this game with the cow opening. It's only move 21, and things have already completely, irrevocably collapsed for Anna in this game. All right, what can she do right here? I mean, queen to e2 might be best, flying back with that queen, defending e3, trying to hang on for now, but the end would be near even in that scenario. Instead, knight g4 chosen, hits the queen on the e5 square. The queen moves, queen g3 check, hits the king, and finally, the bong cloud move on the board, king to e2. The king marches up, and this position is so dire for white. I mean, even if white goes like knight to f2 right here, the computer even says there rook d2, sacrificing the rook is the right idea, threatening f2, and if white takes on the d2 square, you take an f2 anyway with the queen, and the attack is simply that strong. Now instead, king e2 played in the game, the bong cloud move, versus the bong cloud man himself, Mr. Bong Cloud Magnus Carlsen. And from here, we have two more moves. Bishop e5 check, hits the king, c4 blocks the attack, bishop takes, wins the pawn, and in this position, Anna Cramling resigned on the spot in the game to Magnus, and it's easy to see why. The bishop, the rook, the queen, all swarming in on the white king. I mean, the end is near. It's minus, let's see, 10.6. Minus 10.6 for Anna. It's not a forced mate yet, but minus 10.6. Easy to see why she did resign in this game. Wow, what a game between Anna Cramling and Magnus Carlsen. This game literally just happened. It's on her YouTube channel. Trust me, I'll drop the link down below to the game, or to the video on her YouTube channel for proof. But anyways, wild game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, and if you want to support the channel, please do two things for me. One, smash that like button. Two, comment down below. When you comment and like, it does help these videos go viral. So if you enjoyed this content, please do me a huge favor. Do those two things for me. And by the way, if you are stuck watching endless chess YouTube videos, if you're not making progress right now, and if you want to learn directly from me, Dr. Mike Chess, how to get better at chess, I'm a 2000 ELO online player. I've got two solutions for you. Number one, I have a free online chess community. You can join it literally for free, get feedback on your games, and connect with over 1,000 online players. Number two, I do have a paid coaching program. If you want to see what it's all about, I do have a free coaching lesson for you. Links down below. Book your free call with me. You can even play a live training game versus me and get real-time feedback on your games. It's a free coaching call. Links down below. It's the Calendly link. So check it out if you like. And as always, I wish you the best of luck in your chess improvement journey in 2025 and beyond. And I'll see you in the next video.